Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. Obviously, the world is shaking because Anthony Joshua apparently is going to be fighting Jake Paul as a replacement for Tank Davis. So, what do you think? Good, bad? Biggest fight of 2025? Let's talk about it. Let's break it up. We're also going to talk about other topics of discussion as well. And I'll see you after this short break. Welcome back. So, obviously, people were pretty shocked to begin with when Tank Davis was announced as a Jake Paul opponent. Jake Paul's a cruiserweight who's fought at heavyweight, and then apparently he's going to be fighting a light heavyweight world champion. So, nobody really understood the significance or the point of that fight. First of all, for Tank Davis, there was a lot of really good opponents in and around his weight division, right? Legitimate fights, legacy fights. And for Jake Paul, obviously his name's mentioned with all kinds of fighters. And you figure guys that probably made a little more sense than fighting a mighty midget like Tank Davis, which just would have been a really weird fight to begin with, because Jake Paul would have been so much larger than Tank Davis. It was a very strange setup. But fortunately, that fight fell through because Tank Davis, once again, continues to beat women. And regardless of how you feel about Tank Davis as a man, uh, you know, eventually these kind of things come back to bite you in the ass. And that's what happened to Tank Davis. So, you know, it is what it is. Uh, I'm not sad the fight fell through because I wasn't looking forward to it fucking at all. I wasn't going to talk about it too much. I wasn't going to even fucking watch it. Um, but now, of course, we needed a replacement opponent. And the question is, who's a good replacement opponent for Tank Davis? Obviously, all kinds of people potentially could have been the guy for that spot. It was just a matter of who was it going to be, right? So we had to hold our breath, wait. We heard some rumors. Obviously, there was discussion about Ryan Garcia, which made sense in the sense that he is a social media personality. So, Jake Paul, Ryan Garcia fight, in a sense, you could see how financially it would sell and be something that Netflix would be cool with. I talked about Deontay Wilder. I thought Deontay Wilder's The American Market would have been beautiful, even though he's not right now a dominant heavyweight. We're talking about Jake Paul. Jake Paul's made a living out of fighting old fighters past their prime. Uh, and I think Deontay Wilder has a lot more left than that. He comes in, he's a towering guy in great shape. He's comfortable in front of the microphone. He is the big puncher, right? So, in a sense, that fight I thought would be great. And for Deontay Wilder, it would be the perfect way to sort of become relevant once again. If he went out there and destroyed Jake Paul, people would love it because Paul, well, he's not hurting boxing, isn't a crowd favorite, right? So people would have been really happy to see Wilder knock fucking Jake Paul out. And what that would have done is put Deontay Wilder right in the conversation for big fights moving forward. His marketability would have increased. Right now, he's kind of just came off of a fight against a guy nobody heard of in a fight that no one cares about. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Anthony Joshua comes out. And we did hear rumors early on that that was a possibility. And the difference between, of course, a Wilder and an AJ compared to Tank is, first of all, those fights make sense physically. And secondly, neither of those heavyweights is a world champion or even really a pound for pound quality name at this time. So obviously for them, they've had careers. Tank Davis, we expect him to do more and not just chase the bag. But in all sense of the world, I mean, if you're chasing the bag at the end of the day, people can just go, I get it. I understand why you're chasing the bag. I'd probably do it too. Bobby 77's in the house. He says, no way this can be real. AJ would seriously hurt Jake. Probably going to have 100-ounce gloves on. Sean, I'm surprised you're talking Jake Paul. Must because you're an AJ fan. Well, that definitely is probably the scenario. When Tank was going to fight Jake, you hated it. Laugh out loud. Well, but Bobby, you can clearly see the difference between a Tank Davis, Jake Paul fight and an Anthony Joshua fight, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. One guy's a current world champion and a guy that was on the pound for pound list. The other guy just got knocked out in 2 rounds by Daniel Dubois. And for the most part, is kind of irrelevant in the elite level of heavyweight boxing, right? So that's really the difference. One guy is not a reigning world champion. The other guy is. Why would we want champions to fight social media people? It was the same thing in every scenario. When we've had big fighters fight circus fights, historically, those guys were never world champions. And that was okay because at that point, they were kind of free to do what they wanted. But to be a world champion, you have fucking expectations. Your expectations are to fight top fighters in and around your division, unify against other world champions, take on mandatories, right? And continue to build your legacy, not fucking chase the bag. When Muhammad Ali fought the Japanese guy, Ali was not a world champion. When George Foreman went to Canada and fought 6 or 7 guys in one night, he was not a world champion. When Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, he was not a world champion, right? There's a consistency. You give guys that aren't champions a bit of leeway that you can't give Tank Davis as a world champion who just cherry picked fucking Lamont Roach to then fucking cherry pick Jake Paul. I mean, especially when all these fanboys on YouTube for years talked about how Tank Davis was the face of American boxing, not Canelo Alvarez. Oh, really? No, okay. Uh, AJ can do what he did to Francis, to Jake. AJ was not a world champion when he fought Francis Ngannou. Duh. Salutes. Are you any better? I'm a little better. My voice might hold up tonight. We will see. So far, so good. I did talk all day at school and it wasn't too bad. So even though I'm a little raspy, I think I'll be okay. In fact, Francis or even Wilder versus Jake makes more sense if Jake wants to win. For me, a Francis Ngannou Jake Paul fight would have made way more fucking sense, right? That's a fight that would have been interesting in a circus sort of situation. And you see, I wasn't pushing for AJ to get this fight. I was pushing for Wilder. But then ask yourself, why does Wilder make more sense than AJ? You're being a little biased, Bobby, because AJ is not uh, a champion or dominating boxing right now. He's coming off of a brutal knockout loss. So him and Wilder are kind of in a similar situation. The only difference is if you want to make a big fight on Netflix to be a global event to fucking make tons of money, AJ is probably a way better draw. Uh, I meant the way AJ KO'd Francis, he'll do that to Jake. Yeah, and people hope, people pray that that's exactly what Anthony Joshua does. Fucking knocks Jake Paul out. And I don't hate Jake Paul. I think what he's doing, I respect it, right? I have no negativity towards Jake Paul. People fighting Jake Paul, that's a little different. Jake Paul is a social media guy that's trying to fucking build as much social media storm and get as much buzz as possible to make as much money as he can. But at least he's putting in the grind, putting in the work, right? So I respect that. I respect his role, what he's doing, and what he's doing for female boxing. I mean, he is really the guy that might create a female boxing only fucking promotional platform, all for Jake Paul. So, based on that, I can also see why he wouldn't want to work with Tank Davis, who's beating women. Uh, Jake and Logan Paul versus AJ is better. Well, that would be one of those old fucking fashioned George Foreman situations, right? He should probably do that, right? Say, okay, I'll fight Jake and Logan. They can tag out and tag in as necessary, and then I'll just fight them. And the first time I knock someone out, I win the fight. Did Tank beat his girl only to have an excuse to Jake Paul? Well, I definitely don't think Tank would have done it to have an excuse not to fight Jake Paul. With the amount of money he was going to get paid, that was his retirement package. So, yeah, I think she was just stupid. She should have brought this shit up after the contracts and the fight was done. So then when she tried to get money, there was money to be had. At this point, she kind of shot herself in the foot. Certain Tank fans, like Fannin, say Jake ducked him. Man, Fannin is the biggest liar in YouTube, bigger than John Boxing. Like, I cannot believe so many people watch Fannin Boxing, a guy who literally had a mental fucking breakdown on fucking YouTube multiple times, right? Where the dude literally fucking lost his mind. And they believe everything this guy says. I thought Tank Davis was offered $150 million by Netflix or something. Well, wasn't the FBI going to fucking arrest Terrence Crawford? Like, that dude is fucking a mental case. Mental. Who would believe anything that fucking guy has to say? Not me. Not this guy. Drunk Irishman's in the house. Welcome back, my man. How's things in Ireland? From what I see in Taiwan on social media, your country is falling into turmoil. Muslims are invading, preaching the downward fucking spiral of God. Of course, you can't believe anything you see on social media. But man, if you listen to social media, it sounds like the world is fucking imploding. I'm glad I live in Taiwan where everything is just normal. The only difference is the government's taking my license plate on my big motorcycle. I don't understand why. Of course, everything's in Chinese, so obviously I missed something. But literally, I don't know anyone that had their license revoked by the government. But this guy's getting his license revoked, not his license, because I don't have a license, but my license plate. I'm like, what? Really? Why? But yeah, so I got a big $40 fine, and I have to hand in my license plate and 6 months before I can redeem it. It's okay. I still have a scooter, a bicycle, electric scooter, so I'm sure I'll be fine. But yeah. So, Drunk Irishman, what are you thinking about AJ versus Jake Paul? Is this the biggest fight of 2025? I mean, do you think this fight will do more on Netflix than Bud Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez? I think it will. I don't think the Tank Davis Jake Paul fight would have done more, but I think this fight definitely will do more. Ireland 2-0 versus Portugal last night. Ronaldo got sent off, still celebrating. He got sent off like red card. Really? What did he do? Ah, it's a good night. Ireland beat Portugal. You know, I have nothing against Ronaldo except he's a Man U fucking player. So, I can't really like him. And maybe some of my disdain comes from that. And then, of course, I'm a Messi fan, but it's probably a combination of the two. Also, his arrogance fucking irks me. I'm sure Messi is super arrogant as well, but at least he's not so brazen with his fucking arrogance, right? Like Ronaldo is just fucking hard to swallow, that dude, man. No homo. Uh will you go live for Eubank? No, I will not. I will not pay for Eubank Ben because outside of people from the UK, I don't think anyone outside the UK really gives a fuck about that card. And as far as the main event, I expect Eubank to knock Ben out inside 9 rounds. And I'm asleep at that time of the day. That's why, unless the card's really good from Saudi Arabia or from the UK, I'm probably not waking up to fucking watch it. And to go live, it's tough because it's like what, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Trying to go live, I'm like, You know, my energy is dead. You're trying to go live. It's hard to keep juiced up, keep the energy high. JA. Hello, JA. The one 999 9999999. What are you, German? Nazi? 9999. But Tavern, what's up, my man? But overall, what do you guys think about the Eubank Ben fight? Who's your prediction? Who do you think's going to win? I'm pretty confident Eubank is going to knock his ass out. Ben is just garbage. He's never been good. What has he ever done? I mean, outside of fight like 6 or 7 or 8, uh, you know, easy fights against gatekeepers. What else has he done? He fucking cashed out on a Eubank fight. That's it. AJ is exclusive on DAZN. Hearn didn't sound. That's true. I guess, that is an issue to bring up, right? Like, obviously, AJ is exclusive, but now that he's no longer as big as he once was, this might be a smart move from DAZN to let him go do this on Netflix because apparently he's got a 2-fight deal with Saudi Arabia, Turkey Al Sheikh, one of those fights being with Tyson Fury, which will be a huge fight for 2026. This week, I'm going to make the best fights of 2026 fights I hope get made. So stay tuned to that. It should be a doozy. Uh, AJ may unalive Jake Paul. I don't know if I want to see him unalive him, but it'd be great to see him fucking flatline him, just lay him out. I'll probably not pay as well because I will buy it next week. Ben is younger, so if he wins, it's better for boxing. How is it better if Ben wins for boxing? Who cares about either one of them? If Ben wins, that means fucking Boots Ennis is probably going to fight him. Like, does anyone want to see Boots Ennis fight fucking Ben? Come on. I don't want to see Canelo fight fucking Eubank. So it's equal. Uh, you think Funduro faking the injury so he can fight Ortiz instead? Well, truth be told, he should be fucking mandated to fight fucking Ortiz. I mean, the fucking Keith Thurman fight should never have been a real deal. But be honest, right? Like, I mean, if you're going to fight Ortiz for a good payday or you're going to fight Keith Thurman, which fight would you take? I mean, Keith Thurman is an easy fight. You're going to make solid cash and it's low risk. So you might as well cash out in a Keith Thurman fight before you step up to take on a dangerous opponent. I think it will be similar to last fight. Eubank might hurt him this time. Oh, I definitely think Eubank is going to hurt him this time. I thought he hurt him last time, but I think this time he's going to come out fast early. And I don't think Ben is good enough, big enough, skilled enough, strong enough, fast enough to do fucking anything except just get pummeled. I think at the end of the day, people are going to be disappointed. The UK is probably going to be one of those fucking fast stops, and people are going to be disappointed, thinking, "What the fuck, man? Why'd they stop it so quick?" Morning. Is this John boxing or Sean unboxing? Tee hee 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 hee. This is Sean unboxing. Conor Ben wins this fight. He'll get a trilogy or a Barrios title shot. He's going to go down from 160 to 147. That doesn't make sense either. If he goes to 147, I don't think Eddie would feed him to Boots at 154. But that's the fight Boots Ennis's dad called him for. And if you get two big paydays versus Eubank, why wouldn't you fight Boots Ennis? Like, what's the risk? Now you can get three big paydays, right? Because chances are Turkey Al Sheikh will probably pay for a Ben versus fucking Boots Ennis fight. So you're going to get three bags instead of two. But first of all, you got to work with the PBC to fight Mario Barros. We know Ryan Garcia is probably going to get that fight. And people probably hope that Ryan Garcia wins. So you could do a Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch for unification titles. And to be fair, If you're a Devin Haney fan, you should hope that too, because that would be the perfect scenario. You beat Norman, you become a WBO champion. Ryan Garcia beats Mario Barros. You finally can get revenge against him. And this time for legacy, it actually means something. But yeah, we will see. Whatever happens, I mean, I would not mind seeing Tank Davis, Ben, Eubank, Charlo, and Errol Spence disappear from boxing forever. And it wouldn't be a disappointment or something that I regret or I'm sad to see happen. There's new fighters, bring in the new, out with the old. I don't think Connor would want to fight Boots. Why? Why wouldn't you want to fight Boots? Sort of like how Nigel Benn wanted no parts of James Toney. Yeah, but that's different. I mean, you say that, but Nigel Benn fought a killer in fucking what's his face from Kronk's gym, who was far more dangerous fighter than James Toney. Right. McClellan. Right. McClellan was a fucking monster, a destroyer. So Nigel Benn took on him and almost got knocked out in the first round. So I don't think Gerald McClellan, yeah, I don't think he was afraid of James Toney. The problem with James Toney is the fat motherfucker just couldn't get into shape to actually make weight consistently, jumping through weight divisions. He was so inconsistent that he's probably a bad bet to try to make a card around. But McClellan was an undefeated fucking destroyer, walking in the footsteps of Tommy Hearns, and really probably could have went on to be better than Tommy Hearns, except of course what happened in that fight. When was the last time you guys watched that fight? I mean, I've watched it a few times, and it's a great fight, but at the end, it's always disappointing when you realize the repercussions from it, of course. That's the problem with boxing, right? Boxing's a serious fucking game, man. You can't take anything for granted. That's why, of course, Jake Paul taking on a guy like Anthony Joshua, that shit could just end him, not kill him, but just end him as far as being a boxer ever again. He gets knocked out like uh Ngannou got knocked out by AJ. Man, count your chickens and become a promoter because your boxing career is fucking done, son. Only reason I know Ben didn't want to fight Tony is because he admitted it in an interview recently. It's funny that a guy that took on great opponents admits that he was afraid of James Tony. Gerald wasn't undefeated. Wasn't he undefeated when he faced Ben? Did he already lose at that point? Who beat him? Who did he lose to before he lost to Ben? I thought that he was undefeated at that point, but it's a long time ago. I could be mistaken. Drunk Irishman, give us the 411. I mean, you will have a quiet weekend without noisy kids. Ah, yes, that's me. True. I thought she's giving me like a booty call. The kids aren't in town this weekend. Hey, Gerald had like three defeats. No, oh yeah, I guess that's true because that was his last fight. Ah, okay, yeah. Never mind. You don't even know about his career, Sean. Stop fronting, homeboy. Listen to you, dude. That was fucking 30 years ago. You expect me to just remember fucking everything off the top of my head? I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday. Like, what's wrong with you? You dudes, man, always fucking fronting, always fronting. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I'm not too interested in that fight overall. The top rank card out of Mexico, obviously, I'm a little more interested in that. I'll probably go live Saturday night, your time, Sunday, my time for that. At least Japan's card isn't pay per view. I heard that, and I know it's not pay-per-view here because I looked on DAZN, so that made it even better. But I still haven't been able to get a ticket. I would love to go to Saudi Arabia to watch that. That would be cool. But it is what it is. If at the end of the day I can't go, it's fine. I can save money and stay in Taiwan for Christmas. So no loss. Lost to Ralph Ward Dennis Milton early in his career. You're talking about McClelland. Yeah, quite a few great fighters had early losses. B Hop, Hammer and Hank Armstrong, and others. Juan Manuel Marquez. So, early losses, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. But yeah. What other fight? Oh yeah, the Top Rank fight this weekend out of Mexico. So Top Rank is still doing fights, it's just putting them in Mexico where it's on ESPN Mexico channel. But overall, it's a good card, but obviously mostly a showcase fight card. Where are we? But I'm looking forward to Espinoza versus Arnold Kagai. I think that fight will be fun. A fucking war. As far as Vargas, I think it's just another showcase fight. Ricardo Torres is fighting a real low level fucking dude. And Lindolf Delgado fighting Gabriel Venezuela. He's a good opponent, but you know, at this point, is that really the level of fight we want to see this guy in? A guy like him. At this point of his career, he should be fighting, probably for a world title. I mean, the guy's 23-0, 16 KOs. What else do you want? Like, you should be doing something. You're 30 years old. I mean, if you can't fight for a world title now, then what are you going to do? And you're coming off of, equally similar fights to this. You beat Jackson Martinez, you beat Elvis Rodriguez. Now you're taking on Valenzuela. It's like, yeah, okay. And, you know, are you ever going to try to step up and get a world title fight? Ever? You spoke about AJ versus Paul. Whatever happens to work up the ranks, real fights. What do you mean, work up the ranks? Are you talking about AJ or Jake Paul? Because there's no world title in the line for this. At the end of the day, this fight makes more sense than the Tank Davis fight. Tank Davis was a fucking lightweight world champion. Uh, Anthony Joshua just got knocked out by Daniel Dubois and is getting a bounce back in the ring against an easy opponent before 2026. Because as I've heard, he's got two-fight deal with Turkey Al Sheikh, one of those fights being against Tyson Fury. So if you can get paid $50 million to go knock out Jake Paul, it seems like easy money and a good decision. But as I said, and I've been saying this for a long time, that the fight I would prefer was a Deontay Wilder versus Jake Paul fight. But to be fair, Wilder, AJ, at this point, it's fucking, you know, the same thing. Two heavyweights that were once really relevant on top of the sport, both who are past their prime. And at this point, just looking for money paydays, right? Why is AJ fighting Tyson Fury? Payday. Of course, if he beats him for his legacy, that's significant. But if he loses to him, it's another disappointing loss on his resume. Fighting Jake Paul, you can get paid almost as much money and there's very low risk. So I don't blame AJ for taking that fight. And for boxing fans, I mean, let's be fair. One of the things people would love is to see fucking Jake Paul knock the fuck out. So whether it's AJ or Deontay Wilder, those guys are the perfect catalyst for a Jake Paul knockout. Whereas Tank Davis, probably not. I mean, I don't even know if Tank Davis could reach Jake Paul's chin, in all honesty. And Tank Davis got other shit he needs to do. He needs to fight legitimate fights, world champions, right? Unified titles, do something legitimate, not fucking chase the bag against a social media person. But as I said, I mean, I'm never a big fan of these social media fights anyway, so it is what it is. But obviously, I'm an AJ fan, so you know, I don't mind him getting a big payday. If Floyd Mayweather could fight fucking Conor McGregor, why can't AJ fight Jake Paul? Actually, that probably would have been a good fight. Imagine that. I think that might be more sense. Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor, right? That fight makes tons of sense. And it would be an opponent that would be probably pretty equal because obviously Jake Paul is much bigger than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's got more fighting experience, but what has he been doing for the last few years? Fuck all, nothing. Uh, but obviously he's a big shit talker. Jake's a big shit talker. That fight would probably be fucking huge, right? But probably December is not enough time to really market it and build it up as much as you should. So maybe that'll be early 2026. But what do you guys think? If you could choose who Jake Paul should be fighting in December, what would your pick be? I like the idea we saw earlier where AJ should fight Jake and the brother. So two against one. You know, that's perfect. That is the old school fucking WWE type of fucking setup. You know, brother jumping off the top ropes, AJ catching him, throwing against his brother, knocking him out, jumping on both of them. That shit would be a sideshow and a half. But remember, George Foreman in Toronto once fought five, six fighters in one night. Why not AJ? He could do it versus the Paul brothers. Let's bring it on. Which one's first? I would prefer to see AJ knock out Paul brothers. George Foreman fights five men. Yeah, see? Yeah, you agree with me. That would be that would be yeah. I can't imagine. The attention that fight would get if that's what he was doing would be fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. On Netflix, you know, Anthony Joshua versus the Paul brothers. Carl Froch. Carl Froch versus Paul would be good. Froch has been retired for a long time. He's smaller, so Jake Paul would have some advantages lengthwise, size-wise, youth. Carl Froch was always a bit of a plotter, not very good feet, but obviously a skilled fighter, good power. So that fight would be pretty interesting. A fight that might be good now is Carl Froch versus Andre Ward on the undercard of a Jake Paul fight, right? I mean, Ward is fucking hungry for fucking a payout. Go fight Carl Froch. Thoughts on Joe Kazagi's recent interview on Boxing Scene saying Canelo not an ATG because he lost all of his big fights. If that's the case, Duran and Oscar De La Hoya aren't ATGs either. It's good that you brought that up. I was going to talk about that, but I made a note this morning when I was at work, so I forgot all about it. But thank you very much. If it's fake fight and AJ loses, it would suck for boxing. Well, if AJ loses, it would suck for AJ losing to fucking Jake Paul. But I just think this just shines a light on Joe Calzaghe and a lot of these old athletes and how they love to fucking suck the glory from modern fighters out of jealousy. Whether you're talking about Floyd Mayweather, who's a perennial fucking hater, obviously fucking Andre Ward, now Calzaghe. Why does Calzaghe even want to join that group? Show a little bit of decorum. Be a little more like Roy fucking Jones. You don't hear Roy Jones doing this kind of shit to the extent that these guys are. Calzaghe, the problem with him is he retired undefeated, yet his resume is shit. Like you cannot compare Joe Calzaghe's resume to fucking Canelo Alvarez. It ain't even fucking close. Accomplished wise, he didn't accomplish anything close to Canelo Alvarez, right? And so he lost to what? Bivol, a future Hall of Famer, Crawford, a future Hall of Famer, and Floyd Mayweather, a future Hall of Famer. The only Hall of Famers that Calzaghe ever fought were Roy Jones and fucking Bernard Hopkins, who were fucking old and shot, right? Those aren't the fighters Canelo fought. He fought killers, not old shot fighters with multiple losses. Bivol, Floyd, Bud Crawford, undefeated, never got beat. Yeah, but Eubanks was fucking overrated as well. That's his best win, right? His best win was against the domestic fighter in Eubank. Kessler is fucking garbage. Come on. What did Kessler ever do? Before before Calzaghe fought Kessler, nobody had ever fucking heard of fucking Kessler. And because of losing to Calzaghe when Kessler went into the Super Six, now he had some name recognition and he got a lucky win, right? Which actually legitimized him. Eubanks beat Nigel Benn, who fucking was a hard puncher, but technically a very garbage fighter, kind of like his son, right? Neither are great boxers. Yes, Eubank was washed. Washed. Yeah. I mean, most of the people Calzaghe beat were washed. The only guy he beat that was prime was the fucking American kid who was never good. He got him early before the kid could even really develop into anything good, beat him and ruined the kid, right? So you beat a young kid that was never really given a chance to develop, and then you beat a bunch of fucking washed fighters. It's like, congratulations. But you're going to criticize Canelo, who did something you didn't do, right? And this is a guy in Eubank. Did he ever fight outside of America in his prime? I mean, outside of the UK, or did he just fight always in the UK? I mean, you can say the same thing about Canelo Alvarez, but Canelo had way more pressure, way more scrutiny, more no, way more expectations. Who was fucking paying attention to a kid from Wales, right? Like he had an easy run. He's given praise because he retired undefeated, but nobody looks at his resume and goes, "Oh my God, look at his resume. That shit's great." No, Drunk Eubanks was only 30, 31 when he fought Calzaghe. Age doesn't mean anything. It's not age that means you're washed. Like that mentality is fucking stupid. How old was fucking Hagler when he retired? Probably around 31, 32. Like, obviously, back then, things were very different than they are today. So you need to keep that in your mind. Like, back in the day, you didn't have small fighters going 30 years old and still being relevant. Most of them were done by the time they were like 26, 27. The only guys that really did well after 30 were generally heavyweights. Eubanks retired after losing to Carl Thompson twice in 1998. Didn't he retire because he had a hard time dealing with that fighter he paralyzed? Who? To be fair, Hagler wasn't washed. He just left because he was salty. Kez arguably ruined Eubank. Okay, arguably. Jeff Lacey. But then again, who the fuck was Jeff Lacey? Jeff Lacey was a guy that had an okay amateur career. What did he win? A silver medal? Uh, and then he went into the pros, was gifted a fucking world title, and then was fucking sacrificed to Calzaghe. 98, same year as Calzaghe fought him. You guys don't want to argue with Drunk Irishman. He's on top of these things. Not like me. I have old, feeble mind, but he's fucking on top of shit. I can't remember what date fucking these things happens. Dates are something I forget. I don't even remember when I moved to Taiwan, but I think it's like 25 years ago. So, what would that be? 2003? And I'm not a Calzaghe guy, but he would put hands and feet on Canelo. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Calzaghe was a slapper who fucking won fights because of outworking guys and moving a lot. Not a style anybody would appreciate today. He would be called a fucking runner and would be criticized just like fucking Shakur and Haney and others. No, they fought in 97. You can like Calzaghe, don't get me wrong, but to somehow act as if Canelo Alvarez deserves to be criticized by Calzaghe, whose resume is fucking mediocre at best. Let's look at the best super middleweights of all time. Joe should be there. Nah, I got all the facts. Check BoxRec, homeboy. First of all, the fact you're saying homeboy, that word hasn't been relevant since fucking 1998. There we go. I mean, look, Kazaghi's not even ranked above Canelo on BoxRec's fucking listing. He's garbage. He is ranked above Ward. Joel Calzaghe, 46-0, 32 KOs. The pride of Wales, right? Two biggest fights, Roy Jones, B Hop, done, washed, finished. Kessler, who the fuck is Kessler? Peter Manfredi, come on. Sakio Bika, not a bad fighter. Not great. Jeff Lacey, undefeated fighter, was a champion. Who's this guy? Evans Ashira, never heard of him. Meryl Vilt, never heard of him. Kabar Salim, never heard of him. Never heard of him. Brian Mitchell, okay, finally, somebody I've heard of. Also old and washed. Tucker Pudwell, Miguel Jimenez, Charles Brewer. I mean, come on, man. Richie Woodhall, fucking a commentator. Better as a commentator than a boxer. Omar Shika, look at our Omar Shika. Friday Night Fights guy. That's what he was. A Friday Night Fights guy. Robin Reed, hyped. He was supposed to be what? The bigger version of Ricky Hatton. Never lived up to be anything. Eubank beat him 45 2-2, easily the best win of his resume right there in 97. Pat Lawler, oh my God, come on. You know, he fought fucking little of anything of consequence. Like, let's put it in reality. So he fought Eubank, solid win. Robin Reed, if you're from the UK, you'll rate him. Omar Shika, I'll rate him because I watch him on Friday Night Fights all the time. Richie Woodhall was a world champion. Charles Brewer, okay, I'll give it to him. Charles Brewer, that's 5. Brian Mitchell, 6. Jeff Lacey, 7. Bika, 8. Kessler, 9. And then fucking Hopkins and Jones, 10 and 11. So I'm being super generous. Super fucking generous. 11 guys you can say were good wins on his resume. You could say that. You could say they were good wins. You'd be a little more optimistic than you should be, but okay. 11 good wins. Come on, man. Give me a break. I'm a tough critic. I'm being super generous. Did Eubank ever win another fight after Kazagi fought him? Exactly. No, because Kazaki ruined him. Really? You don't like Kessler? What did Kessler ever accomplish outside of beating Froch and then losing in the rematch? Like, Kessler was nothing. Literally. I heard Robin Reed lost the controversial decision to Calzaghe. Hey, hey, hey. 7-5 Calzaghe, but it was close. Only wins Calzaghe has are undefeated Kessler, and I will give him some credit for beating a 43-year-old Hopkins, since Hopkins went on to win more titles afterwards. Hopkins still a good win, considering he went on to beat Pascal and Pavlik. Did he fight Pavlik after he fought Calzaghe? Was that after? Really? No. Salutations. Oh, what's up, man? Long time no see. Yeah, I'd say Hopkins is his best win. Well, historically, for sure, Hopkins is his best win. But prime for prime, you probably have to say Eubank. But as you said, Eubank never went on to win another world title. B Hop did. Roy Jones obviously didn't. And outside of those three fighters, who the fuck else is on his resume? Jeff Lacey? Okay, there you go. So four guys. Eubank walked away after the Kazagi fight smiling. Eubank did seem battered. Not battered, but he knew that he just wasn't in it anymore. Sleeping on silk sheets, driving a fucking Rolls Royce. He wasn't hungry. And he got beat by a guy that fucking slapped him to death. And I'm not hating on it, but come on, man. Like, for Joe Kazagi to disrespect Canelo, it's just because of fucking jealousy. Because there's nothing else you could say. BoxRec's fucked. You might hate Canelo Alvarez, and that's fine. But Canelo Alvarez has a way more significant fucking resume and fucking accomplished way more. Four-weight world champion, unified in three of the four divisions, should have been undisputed at 160 and 168. The only reason he didn't fight Demetrius Andrade to become fucking undisputed was because of the fucking IBF and their constant bullshit. And I'm not a Canelo Alvarez fan, but come on, man. I mean, we scroll back and, I won't be overly optimistic. I could count early fights like I did with Joe Kazagi, but I won't. Right? There you get some guys, but let's be fair. Let's jump to where he fought somebody legitimate. Austin Trout. Legitimate win, world champion, primed, went on to fight a lot of other top fighters afterwards. Got beat to an undefeated fighter. Fought Floyd Mayweather, lost to Floyd. Angulo, fine. Lara, legitimate. I think he beat Laura. I know some people like to hate on him for it, but nonetheless, legitimate win. Kirkland, okay, nothing special. Cotto, legitimate. Amir Khan, weight bullied him, okay. Liam Smith went on to do far more after this, to be fair. Like literally, he went on to do stuff years and years later in 2023, right? So was a good win, but fine, I'll look past it. Chavez, obviously, it was more of a symbolic win, but okay. Golovkin, I mean, right there, four wins. That's one win more significant or equal to Calzaghe. And we only got to fucking 2018. Fielding, then you got Danny Jacobs. Kovalev, fine. You could say fucking, he drained him. He didn't give him time to win and whatever. And then Callum Smith. Yidrim, not a cherry pick, a mandatory. Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, lost to Bivol, beat Golovkin. Golovkin was old. Ryder, Charlo pulled him up. Munguia, Berlanga, William Skull. Okay, so that's eight legitimate wins. Even if you're the most critical, hateful person of Canelo Alvarez, that's easily 8-4. 8-4. Canelo has eight better wins to Kazaki's fucking four best wins. 8-4. What's good, Bronx guy? Yeah, B Hop actually beat Pavlik right after losing to Calzaghe. Oh, that was a great win for B Hop. Great win. He fucking surprised everyone with that victory because Pavlik was really at the top of his game at that point. That was a big win. Uh, B Hop just beat Winky before. Yeah, but Winky was fucking dragged up in weight. It was a bad move for ducking Winky right at 160, only to make him go to 175. Laura Jacobs, GG, controversial. Same say Trout fight, controversial. Bobby, nobody talked about controversy with regards to fucking Calzaghe. The only reason those fights are controversial is because haters make everything controversial when it's fighters that they're trying to fucking downplay. There's nothing fucking controversial about the second Golovkin fight, the Danny Jacobs fight, the Austin Trouts fight, or the Laura fight. He won all those fights. Did he dominate and destroy them? No. But who the fuck was Calzaghe destroying? I mean, historically, you would never put his name together with destroying anybody. But see, you just show exactly what the point is. I was very fair in giving Calzaghe's resume a look, even giving him praise for four other fighters that we would never give Canelo Alvarez praise for. And I downplayed many of Canelo's wins because people are going to fucking criticize and hate on them. But it was still 8-4. And then still, you're fucking trying to badmouth him and bash him. The point is, Kazaghi's full of shit. Canelo is easy a Hall of Famer. He's a four-weight world champion and an undisputed 168-pound champion. Something Calzaghe and Andre Ward fucking could have done, but they didn't do. It's not Canelo's fault. You know, you can't blame Canelo because those guys fucking, you know, didn't do something that he was able to do. Hopkins better fighter than Calzaghe, regardless of losing to him. Well, that's true. Match Hopkins Rec versus Calzaghe. Well, it's the same. Yeah, B Hop's resume is way better than Calzaghe. And you know, even though B Hop had a very old school fight style that wasn't necessarily the most attractive, he was effective. Hopkins' resume of wins is better than Calzaghe and Roy Jones. That's true, but he also, you know, you could be very controversial towards B Hop as well. A lot of close fights, a lot of jumping out of the fucking ring when he felt he was losing fights to make excuses why the fights were fucking no contests. There was a lot of dodgy shit. He also got beat by Roy Jones when he was fucking both of them were in their prime. He also got had a draw with fucking who before he won his first world title, lost his first professional fight. So, you know, there's criticism to go around for everybody if you want to. You're right about the overall resume, but I do believe Calzaghe's win over Hopkins trumps whatever you believe Canelo's best win is. How does beating a fucking 40-something-year-old fighter trump Canelo's best win, which was ultimately a prime Golovkin? Golovkin would have knocked out that fucking B Hop. Guaranteed. Prime for prime, I'd take Roy over Hopkins, age well. Yeah. Oh fuck. Roy Jones, way better fighter overall, but stylistically was never going to, well, especially because he went to heavyweight and coming down in weight. It's kind of like Dawson when Dawson came down to fight Andre Ward and fucking killed himself to do it, only to then go up to fight Adonis Stevenson and got fucking destroyed in that fight. It ruined his career as well. And that was a much smaller jump. You could also say about Kell Brook as well. What did Kell Brook ever do after fucking fighting Golovkin at 160 and then jumping back down to 147 outside of beating fucking Amir Khan? I rate Hopkins' resume higher than Roy overall resume all time. Will you watch Laura versus Janabek December 6th? Uh, probably, probably. Is that a what card is that on? That's on the PBC card, right? So that's good. That means it's going to be Sunday my time. So it's not going to be one of the Saudi Arabia times. If it's a Saudi card, then sometimes, as I say, it's hard for me to get excited because I have to stay up all night to watch those cards. Oh, my ear is killing me. Chris Bird dropped weight and it did not work out well. Exactly. Got Janabek. Oh yes, Janabek's gonna beat Laura, but Laura's fucking old, man. Like if Janabek can't beat this version of fucking Laura, that's a terrible fucking look. It means this dude was never fucking anything special at all. At all. And probably Carlos Adames shouldn't have ducked him because he would have destroyed him if Laura beats him. You are going to watch Espinoza card, Torres Jr. on it. I am, but who's Torres Jr. fighting? Bum. I mean, I think it's fair because he's only fought once this year, so they're getting him another fight before the end of the year, so that makes sense. But it's not, the whole card is not really full of real opponents. It's all showcase fights. Crawford looking at Janibek. Well, to be fair, I mean, I think Crawford probably should chase Adamas, and then he could become a champion. Then he could fight the winner of Laura Janibek for undisputed. But Crawford might just want that six weight division as well. Obviously, that's historic in its own right. Haney versus Brian Norman. Uh, the more I listen to the breakdown, I still favor Devin Haney to win, but the more I hope Brian Norman knocks him out. Brian Norman is a good guy, right? Devin Haney is just such a fake ass motherfucker, right? Oh, he's hard to fucking stomach when you listen to him and his dad because it's all fucking acting. There's no truth to it. Whereas Brian Norman, he reminds me a bit of Roy Jones when I listen to his southern drawl. Uh, Moses Atoma fighting another stiff. Look at Bobby. Moses Atoma is 20 fucking years old. Richard Torres is 26. What's your fucking point? Like, Forrest, who Atoma is fighting, is fucking way better than the fucking stiff that Torres is fighting. Probably better than the best win on Torres's resume, which is fucking the Italian dude. So stop. Stop. Like you're fucking a PBC fanboy, aren't you? Sorry, a LDBC fanboy, right, Bobby? Because now you're preaching their message. They're like pro Torres and anti Atoma. It's like, oh my God. Already these guys pushing their fucking hate. Haney's got no chin. He's gonna run, 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 run. Hearing nothing of Richard Torres. Well, it's because it's a top rank fight card, but it's in Mexico. Top rank, of course, their deal with ESPN's fallen through. But what they've done is they're still fighting on ESPN, but the Mexico ESPN. So they're putting all their cards on that one. So Torres is fighting on that. But overall, I mean, it's a not a competitive fight card. Here you go. So Espinoza is fighting this kid from fucking Czech. You got Delgado fighting Valenzuela. Espinoza versus Kagai, which should be a fun fight. Vargas versus some dude I don't know. So, Vargas, Torres, Espinoza, Delgado, you got all the ESPN top rank Mexican fighters on the card. So it's going to be successful. What's up? I think PBC right now, number one. Number one for what? What's the PBC number one for doing pay-per-views? The PBC is fucking put on 5 fight cards all year. So they're definitely not number one. All I heard is Moses is the next Mike Tyson. Just don't sell me a new product that's supposed to be the best, only for me to go home and it doesn't work. Once again, the kid's 20. He's younger than Abdullah Mason. And who's Abdullah Mason fighting for a vacant WBO title? Can you even name the person he's fighting? Like, you guys just need to keep the same fucking energy and not consistently move the goalposts, which I find you guys do far too much. What's up, doggy dog? What's up? Would you like to see Golovkin with in his prime? Who would you like to see Golovkin with in his prime? Well, I would have loved to see him against Sergio Martinez, Miguel Cotto, Canelo before he dropped the title, and ducked Golovkin versus fucking Felix Sturm versus Kelly Pavlik versus fucking what's the guy? Peter Quillen, Billy Joe Saunders for undisputed, right? There's like a ton of fights I would have been happy to see him in with. Of course, the fight he was supposed to be fighting, right, which would have been his American debut versus the Russian fighter that beat Danny Jacobs. But obviously he Ward, no. Why Ward? Ward's a fucking light heavyweight. Golovkin's a middleweight. Why Ward? Ward's a boring fighter who fucking always wanted everything his way, ducked every opportunity to Pirog, yes. Ducked every opportunity to fucking really do something successful. Could have been the first guy to be two-weight undisputed. Ducked both Canadians to fucking not do that. So Andre Ward has only himself to blame for a fucking mediocre career with fucking limited legacy. Only himself. The only fucking gold medal winning Olympian fucking for a million years. And he went on to do what? Beat Kovalev. Yay. And then who? Carl Froch. Okay, there you go. He beat Carl Froch and Kovalev. Congratulations. I'm so fucking excited. I think he's great, but does he have a chin? Who? Speaking of Abdullah, he's fighting for a championship belt. Yeah, I know. He's older. And who's he fighting, Bobby? Can you name it without looking at BoxRec? I think Abdullah is a good boxer, but he needs to get on vitamins to be competitive. Pirog, dangerous for Golovkin. He would have been. That's why that would have been a great fight. Kovalev kick his ass. Well, Kovalev beat Andre Ward the first fight and got robbed blind. Pirog was great, too bad about his back. True. Joseph Parker failed for cocaine. Noakes, you looked on BoxRec. Who's Sam Noakes? Bet you never even saw Sam Noakes fight before. Yeah, I heard Joseph Parker was partying before the fight even happened. Is that true, or is that typical of the UK to fuck people over with fake drug tests? Because the UK is becoming fucking dodgy as fuck. I mean, the only way you're going to get anything to go your way is to be a Muslim. So you better fucking change over right away. And then maybe you're going to get fucking drug tests to not come back fucking tainted. He's going to say, it wasn't me. It was, I ate too many eggs. I'm surprised to hear that. Ah, I'm surprised he's doing cocaine. But that's why I think it's bullshit. Bullshit. I don't think a guy on the eve of fucking the biggest fight of his career that leads into a potential undisputed heavyweight matchup and tens of millions of dollars is going to be doing fucking cocaine. That shit don't jive with me fucking at all. At all. Right? It's not boxing right now. It's big business. True. Nika versus Zarafa should have been Tim fighting Zarafa. But, anyways, is Nikita fighting Zarafa? I thought it was Tim. Well, it's good for Nikita. It's a good win for him, a solid win. I mean, Nikita needs some names on his resume because his career is kind of stagnated. I mean, obviously, Tim got big opportunities, became a champion. But when have people been talking about Nikita? There was a bit of a buzz about him, and then I mean, in the last what year, I don't think anyone's even mentioned his name. He's fallen off the map completely. But it is what it is. Uh, everyone, thanks for jumping in. These things are starting to kill my ears, so I think I'm going to call it a night. Uh, but thanks everyone for jumping in. As I said, I probably will be going live on Saturday night for that top rank Mexico card, even though to be fair, the only fight I'm really interested in is Espinoza versus Kagai, because I think Kagai is an aggressive come forward fighter that's going to make my man look fucking great. So go Espinoza. Tim Tszyu is nowhere near his father's level. Oh fuck. No. No. No chance. Never was. But thanks everyone. Peace out. Enjoy the weekend.